Tommy, definitely very uncomfortable when you hear those words from Tony Khan. Again, you're on the NFL Network, an opportunity to kind of promote AEW and what's going on with AEW, and maybe even put over the storyline that's going on with you and the Elite. And again, just taking that opportunity to take shots at the WWE, Tommy. I don't get it. I don't understand. Tony Khan is somebody who came on this show on a weekly basis. We gave him the opportunity to promote AEW Dynamite, and he definitely took advantage of it. I don't understand why you take that opportunity, which is a rare one, and you use it to take shots at the WWE. Again, we go back to WrestleMania week, Tommy. You and I and Bully and Mark were doing a show from WIP in Philadelphia, and it was the Thursday right after Adam Copeland had that, what I thought, tremendous speech in the middle of the ring on Dynamite, where he talked about we got to stop the tribalism, and he mentioned the WWE, and he got booed. And he's like, no, man, let's celebrate pro wrestling. Like, we're all on the same team here. This needs to stop. And it just feels like since then, it's just been jab after jab after jab. Like, man, you can't yell out, stop the tribalism, when you are the cause of a lot of the tribalism. I got to say this, Tommy, and I love AEW and I love Tony Khan. And Tony Khan has done a lot of great things. Please just stop with this. All right, you don't like the WWE. I get it. I understand it. Take those opportunities like the one that you had at the NFL draft and promote what you have. Promote how good your show is, because there's so much goodwill with AEW. I just felt like that was a missed opportunity and an unnecessary shot at the WWE. Your thoughts?
Well, when I'll give you my two takes. Here's number one. You got a lot of buzz for wearing the neck brace at the draft. A lot of people during the NFL draft were talking about he was injured during a thing, during his show or AEW, or attacked, all that stuff. That's good publicity because it's furthering your storylines, all that stuff. Even if you hear the comment when it's made, the announcer, as soon as it said, you start hearing the music and they're wrapping you up now, because they're like, whoa, 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 because they don't want to be involved in the conversation. That's where, if you have personal animosity towards somebody, it is your God-given right to say whatever you want to say. When you're an owner of a company, it's your God-given right to do so. But then it's, again, the backlash from it. And there is a lot of backlash from it. When you said, if I'm comparing, what Adam Copeland had said about tribalism, yes, this is creating more tribalism, where it's also going to be viewed you as, hey, how dare you say that? There's also then the other side where people could be like, well, they have this and this going against them. But if this is all garnered towards, let's say, a Vince McMahon, well, Vince is no longer has anything to do with the WWE. So he sold all his shares, or all his shares are up for sale. He's out. When you are an owner and you have hatred towards something, or are fighting for your life, you're going to take those opportunities. It's just who you are. If you can't control your own tongue, cool. But then again, you have to face the ramifications. Don't know. I mean, obviously the NFL will have to cover you because you're an, part owner of a team. Don't know if they'd say, well, let's not have this person on again if they're going to go this route. More so use your platform to promote your show, as opposed to when I say taking shots, there's shots across the board, and you cannot say who started, who did it. It's just, and I've said this before, you have to stay in your lane. However, I would be a hypocrite to say that shots weren't fired out of my mouth during that whole time called ECW. Shots were fired all the time, but it's different from the 90s to 2024. But also, if you have someone going on national television and saying, hey, here's this, and we don't want to have it anymore, to then when the owner goes and says something like that, if he feels that way, like I said, it's his right. And if he's there willing to stand on his words without any retribution or negative feedback towards him and his company, then that's cool. And if he believes that, that's cool. And, Dave, you have no clue what it's like when you're going up against the big other companies. I was a part of it. I was a part of it, and the behind the scenes stuff were brutal. I mean, we've also, known about contract tampering, all that stuff. It's different in wrestling than it is in, the NFL. If there is direct proof, it costs you in the NFL. It costs you in real sports. In wrestling, not so much. So it sucks. It sucks that it happens. And I get it that you're living and dying by your own country and your own company and your own decisions. But it's a slippery slope in 2024. It really and truly is.
But Tommy, you also have to understand that you're talking to an NFL audience.
Yes.
So you're not talking. It's not like, let's just say Tony Khan came here on Busted Open and we're having a long interview and we're talking about Dynamite and we talked about Dynasty and we talked about everything that happened on Dynamite the week before, and then he makes that kind of comment. Again, say what you want about the comment. Those are strong words by Tony Khan. Very, very strong words and accusations. And like you said, the WWE is trying to change things. Vince McMahon, who's the one that we point the finger at when it comes to these things, is no longer with the WWE. So I just feel like when you're talking to an audience, and I kind of like what he said, hey, we're a startup company. He said, the biggest startup company since the AFL. It's going back a very long time, going back about 70 years now when you're talking about the AFL and the AFL merging with the NFL. But you're talking now. I like that analogy because he's talking to a football audience. So they don't know about AEW, but they sure as hell know about the AFL. So I like how he made that kind of comparison. He's got the neck brace on. He's selling what happened to him on Dynamite, which I absolutely loved. And I gave him a lot of credit. So did you, Tommy, on our show last Thursday morning. But again, you're talking to an NFL audience. So now's your opportunity to not only sell AEW, but pro wrestling to an audience that may not be watching pro wrestling. And probably most people that were watching probably don't even know what AEW is. So that's your opportunity, not to take shots at another company, but put over your own company. Hey, this is where you can watch it. Here's the channel. Here's the times. This is we're very young. We're hip. I think the NFL audience would really love this style of pro wrestling. We're more sport than we are sports entertainment. Like, talk about those things, because here's your opportunity to get that audience to tune in to your product on a weekly basis. Taking shots at the WWE is going to do just what it did. Bad publicity. I'm going to be honest with you, Tommy. I had more than just a few people call me. And this is being honest. I'm being completely honest here. I had more than just a few people, friends, that said to me, dude, Dave, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with AEW. I'm done with this guy. I've had it. Like, I've given them a little bit of rope, and every time I give them an opportunity and I give them a chance, something like this happens. I'm done. And as hot as the WWE is right now, Tommy, there's going to be fans that say, you know what, I'm getting my wrestling fix from the WWE, or I'm getting it from TNA, or I'm getting it from the NWA, or I'm getting it from New Japan. You know what? You got to fight for that niche. You got to fight for that audience. And we've seen a decline in viewership and attendance. The focus should be getting those fans back, not taking unnecessary shots at other companies. Tommy, it's kind of like what we talked about yesterday We have Sam Roberts joining us for our 15-year anniversary. When did Sam Roberts join us? In the last hour of the show. Why? Because the first 2 hours of our show, he's on the air too. We're actually competing with one another. Our shows are on at the exact same time, but yet he has me on his show and I have him on our show. Why? To promote pro wrestling and to promote our shows. Now is not the time to take unnecessary shots. The pro wrestling audience isn't big enough to keep continually having the foundation cracked. And it seems like AEW loves to do it for whatever reason. And I don't understand it. I love Dynasty. I am somebody that was on board with the end of Dynamite on Wednesday. A lot of people killed it. And I was like, that's bullshit. I thought that was intriguing. It makes me want to tune into the next week. I think there's a lot of podcasters out there and hosts that take unnecessary shots at AEW. And that's frustrating too. And I'm sure it's frustrating for Tony Khan. Come on our show and talk about it. Don't talk about it when you have an opportunity to talk about it to an audience that doesn't normally watch pro wrestling. Swing and a miss, unnecessary. And I wish I could tell Tony Khan that. I wish I was close enough to Tony Khan to be like, man, Tony, you have a great show. You have a great company. Let's talk about the positives instead of continually talking about the negatives.
In 2024, you can't do that. You can't. And you have an opportunity to get more people to tune into your show. Here's the other part of it. This stuff with Patrick Mahomes, and thanks to the nation for sending me tweets, it's all over the NFL. So WWE comes in. You're the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're the owner. You have a wrestling company as well. It took a negative spin towards you because of what you said. WWE literally just went and turned it and got the most popular football player, the Super Bowl winning quarterback, and now has him involved in a WWE show. So that was what, Friday? Now we have Monday or Thursday or Friday when Tony made those comments. And WWE now has a lovely spin on, wow, look at this thing that we was just on. One person called us really bad, but no, the number one person in the NFL has us here. That's the game of chess that I talk about, that Bully talks about, where then again, perception is reality. I love what you said about, hey, WWE does their own things. I don't agree with the WWE. I have a personal vested interest against the WWE because of things that, but you know what? This is what my company does. My company does more athleticism. We have this guy. We have this guy. We have this guy. We have this guy. Girl, guy, same thing. I'm just using my pronouns. We have this. You want to watch them? Great. Give us a shot. Or we have just about, we have this show coming up. We have this, because there is a lot of good things to talk about with AEW instead of having your narrative about, because then what are we talking about? About the WWE. That's everyone is talking about. Then you're going to make comparisons to a really, really bad situation that we still don't have a judgment on, a guilty or an innocent. So, and again, it's past ownership. It really and truly is. And if there's still people involved that do everything, and we said this when this first came out, everything will eventually come out. So let them either sink or swim, stay in your lane, and concentrate on the greatness of what you are delivering. Because at times it is great. And when you have this medium to, you literally heard it from the commentator. Oh, like he was like, oh, if he could have said, holy shit, let's rap. It was like the Oscars.
You want to make somebody uncomfortable? You bring up Harvey Weinstein on a live interview. That's how you're going to make people uncomfortable, because he's a despicable human being. So as soon as that name, and that guy ruined lives by his actions. So now you're making a comparison to that in a wrestling company. Dude, that is wow. That is wow to make that kind of comparison.
Well, he's in jail, convicted of what his accusations were, and just being a horrible human. Um, he was convicted for like rape and like all this horrible
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
he manipulated actresses and his
Yes.
status in the movie industry to take advantage of people for decades. Now, if you want to make that comparison about Vince McMahon, like you said, Tommy, there are those accusations out there. And, I understand where there's smoke, there's fire. But you got to wait until those things are proven. And the other thing is that the WWE has now like done things with the structure of their company where Vince McMahon is out. The problem is out. Now, obviously, you still have to address those issues, the victims and everything else. There's a lot that needs to happen with the WWE and the Vince McMahon situation, but you're not at that point yet. And just like again, there's a discussion to be had when it comes to those things. It's not at a time when you're at the NFL draft and you have a live microphone and you're being, asked questions by an NFL panel that are talking about the draft and are giving you a time to talk about AEW. Now is not that time to take shots at the WWE. Hell, you say, hey, I'm talking to sports fans here. You know what? Anybody that didn't see it, go back and watch Bryan Danielson against Will Ospreay from our last pay-per-view, AEW Dynasty, because people are calling that the greatest pro wrestling match in U.S. history. So if you're a Lapsed fan that hasn't watched in a while, or you're a fan that doesn't watch AEW, or you're new, I suggest you go back and watch Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay from AEW Dynasty, because I believe that was the match of the year and maybe one of the greatest matches of all time. Bing, bang, boom. Now you're going to get people to want to tune into your product. Or look what just happened to me. I'm wearing a neck brace because I got pile driven in the middle of the ring. I'm going to have something to say about it on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. Make sure you tune in. I'm like, come on, man. And I'm being serious, Tommy. I've had die-hard fans that are like, I'm done. I'm done with AEW. I'm not, obviously. But there are fans out there that be like, enough of this shit. Enough of the tribalism and enough of the drama. They're causing their own tribalism and drama by doing that shit, Tommy. Enough is enough, man.
I like what you said with comparing the company or a match. If he even said something, if you want to go to the WWE, I would dare anybody to put Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. If you've watched both of those matches, you tell me which the better match, the better pure wrestling match, and be like, oh wait, this is compared to a WrestleMania main event. That could be, and be like, my money's on Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. And then you're like, whoa, is that controversial? Sure, but you're the owner, you're proud of it. You'll have, I don't know, Jerry Jones. There's always controversy with Jerry Jones for things that he says, right? But he's not going to say the Cowboys aren't the best team in the world, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in forever. He's going to go out there and talk up his team. And if he hates the Eagles, or if he hates the Giants, he hates Washington, whoever he hates, he may take a shot, but you're not going to take the shot that shot was taken.
And you know what, Tommy? I love AEW. I know lately I've been called like an AEW hater, which I don't get, because from day one, Tommy, I don't think there's been one talk show host that's promoted AEW. I don't think there's one talk show host that went to more AEW events where I paid out of pocket myself, T-shirts, everything else. I'm a fan. But don't do this bullshit where you're making me choose over one company or another. Don't do that. It's almost like you're making your fans choose between the WWE and AEW. You can watch both. You can be a fan of both. Don't make me choose. And don't make fans choose, because you want to know something? You may not like the outcome. If you're going to have fans choose between AEW and the WWE, you may not like the outcome, because the WWE is a hot product right now. But there's room for both. And there's room for TNA and everything else, too.
History, right? If you think about the hotness of when WCW was on fire, they were the cool product. When did they start becoming uncool. Yes, there's been books about it, all that stuff. But when a shot was fired at WWE on live television, everyone went, wait, what? Turn the channel. A definitive moment. Why? Because another shot was taken. And listen, if you remember, and you and I have talked about it, when it was Billionaire Ted, that whole skit, it was like, oh man, this WWE is lame.
Yeah.
I want to watch WCW. Or when AEW came in, they were the legit alternate product. When WWE is doing as cool stuff, what's going to make you alternative? What's going to make me to watch your product? I don't know if that comment will make you watch your product.